And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this finally Friday. We're rounding out the month of August on a pretty mild note. We've got a little over a week left in the month, and then the unofficial start of fall starts in about 10 days. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And hard to say that F word while we're still in August, but we know what's around the corner.
Labor Day, that's sort of the time frame we know that soybeans are going to start to roll over into fall and be ready for harvest as well. So, it's not necessarily a surprise. Here it comes, right?
Right.
I'm sure you're all counting down the days left in your Christmas shopping season.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, boy. Well, I'm counting down the days until we can get a good soaking rain around here because it's been a while now. There's some areas that have seen, these bands of showers and thunder showers come through. You pick up a quick inch of rain, but other areas haven't gotten squat. And we're going to see that pattern change a little bit. I know Gary with the LRC had said towards the end of August and into early September, expect a wetter weather pattern. And now all of our long-range models are in agreement that we're going to see a few more rounds of showers and thunderstorms traverse the northern plains starting, it looks like next week. We've got a couple chances next week and into that following weekend and beyond as we head towards Labor Day as well. So finally, some good news on the horizon. Now, it's not going to erase the drought situation because we're about 8.5 inches below where we should be for this time of the year, but every little bit will help. Now, today, not looking for much rain, but we are seeing a little bit more cloud cover as we head into the afternoon, those cumulus clouds building up, and there is about a 10 to 20% chance that some of those could spark off an isolated shower or thunderstorm after 5 o'clock tonight. Again, most areas are not going to see a thing, but there will be a couple, and most of those are going to be east of the valley into Lakes Country. Then we'll clear things out overnight tonight. After hitting the mid-80s today, we'll drop off into the mid-50s. Very pleasant tonight with light winds. And the weekend looks great. A lot of sunshine both Saturday and Sunday. Highs around 80 on Saturday with northwest winds 5 to 15, and highs in the low to mid-80s on Sunday with plenty of sun and southeast winds on the light side. Now, Monday, we'll start to see southerly winds increase. That's going to drag in some more moisture. We'll have highs in the mid to upper 80s, and then a good chance for showers and storms as we head Monday night into early Tuesday morning. And then temperatures remain in the 80s all next week with another shot of showers and storms coming in the following Friday and into that weekend. So at least we're seeing rain chances in the forecast. And it looks like as we go towards the end of the month and into that first week in September, they're going to be a little more widespread. I think everybody's going to enjoy some much needed precip around here. We're getting current indication over the next 2 weeks of about an inch to an inch and a half of rain, wider spread across a lot of the area. Now, we'll see how that irons out, but if that is the case, hey, that'll help out a little bit. But like I said earlier, Bridgette, we're not going to erase the drought conditions.
Well, we've always said we don't know what rain will bring, right? When you look at the LRC, yes, you know that there's chances for rain. Nobody knows what the amount will be because if you look at Lakes Country, I think they've been surprised the last three times to say you have a chance of rain, and then they got half to a full inch of rain.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's something to take into consideration as well. As we just don't know what it's going to look like yet, but things are certainly going to try to give some relief to as many folks as we can. A lot of folks are comparing this to what we saw in 1988 as far as dry conditions, specifically in the red zones, you might say, of extreme drought, and that is in two specific spots across North Dakota, even though essentially the entire state shows quite a bit of drought stress.
Mm-hmm.
And one benefit maybe versus what we had in 88, we don't have the grasshoppers. Grasshoppers were horrible in the 80s when we had that drought. If you thought your crop wasn't growing due to dry conditions, the grasshoppers were doing everything they could to eat it anyway. And right now, the other thing to consider is not just what's happening when it comes to our crop health, but our own personal health. I had conversations yesterday on my travels back from Kansas in regards to West Nile. And for folks who are out there and are thinking, man, the last couple of days I've had a terrible summer cold, summer flu. I am coughing. I have high fever, body aches, really just completely drawn out, feel awful. Get yourself tested. This is the time of the year, and we've had our first cases confirmed by the North Dakota Health Department that West Nile is out there. And this is the time of the year where the mosquito that is specific to drier conditions that carries West Nile has been infecting humans. We've had multiple cases in horses. We can vaccinate horses. There's not a vaccination for humans. And for the first person who says, oh, but it's not that big a deal, you'll recover, I would very much like to counter that thought, because it is not something that's just a minor problem. It is a serious virus. It does lead to further problems overall for someone's health. It doesn't care what your age is. It's not just old people's disease, as I've been told. Lots of children have been affected, and it gives long-term impacts on your health and lifestyle. So please keep that in mind and be safe. Don't forget the bug spray just because you thought, but I haven't seen a mosquito. The bad ones are currently out there waiting for you. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Good advice. Good advice.
All right. Also, if you have some of that great advice, you can give us a call. You can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Happy to take your calls, answer your questions, and so much more. You can also email us agorweather@flagfamily.com. I'm keeping a much closer eagle eye out for those emails that try to go to my junk folder without me getting to answer them. So I apologize to listeners. If I've missed something from you, please resend that. Again, ag@flagfamily.com. Lighthouse Commodities brings us our live stream. You can see us on Acres TV, Facebook, and YouTube. And with Acres TV, there's lots more content growing there. Ag PhD Media has done a fantastic job of creating many channels on that media platform. Those channels can be anything from livestock to some of your favorite YouTube farmers, right into new technology when it comes to crop inputs and machinery. So if you haven't, that is a free subscription you can do through their app on your phone, your tablet, your laptop. And I know some folks that watch this show because they stream it at the end of their day on their big TVs, and they watch Weather and Ag in Focus coming to them from Acres TV, or maybe find it again on Facebook, YouTube. And thanks to the folks over at Lighthouse Commodities for taking care of that for us. All right, to our headlines that are going out there. We all know that agriculture, it is one of the deadliest professions. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shares work-related deaths in ag are 7 times higher than our national average. Probably the two that come to mind as most dangerous right off the bat, agriculture and forestry, logging. And in areas of the country where you have folks doing both, what a jump up in percentages. So there is and always has been a focus on preventing loss of life and injuries. And so we've listened to many of our safety specialists in the area giving discussions on prevention, things that we can do to prevent the injury, but also we want to make sure to appeal to those who are able to help be part of their volunteer ambulance squads and fire departments. Thank you to so many who do that every single day. But if you are new to the area, or if you've come to the point in your life where you're thinking, I can give some time, being on call for those ambulance and fire departments matter tremendously. And they are so excited to have you, and they will help train you and help make sure that you are prepared when it comes to farm-related injuries. It's not just about somebody with an arm caught in an auger, which is terrible. But on farm, we see the stress level. Most of our farmers are 2.5 times more likely to be suffering from heart disease, higher propensity for smoking, and that can lead to further health impacts. A lot of folks that have problems with diabetes. And so being part of the ambulance squad, you may be called on because of all of those compounding incidents that create an issue for someone's health, and you may be there when they need you most. So please consider what you could do to be a part of our local fire departments and ambulance squads whenever possible. We've got lots of headlines to go through today. We certainly want to keep an eye on the weather. And later in the show, we're going to be joined by Grant Wiese with Farm 640. He has a new tracking sheet that you could be using for making great decisions on the farm by thoroughly investigating your expenses. Let's hear from Grant a little bit later, but first, livestock report from the American Ag Network. Thanks for joining us at Weather and Ag in Focus, brought to us by TCG Wheat. When you're thinking about what you can be doing for wheat production, well, TCG is helping to maximize every acre. They have trusted seed and agronomy solutions. You're going to want to talk with Steve Fox in regards to that. And also, you're going to start joining us once a month to talk about agronomy and small grains. And Steve's going to start that next Monday. So we're going to have an agronomy highlight with TCG Wheat starting out coming up on Monday. When veterans come home from the military service, they may or may not have a bit of a plan. And some certainly better than others. I mean, isn't that the case for all of us, irregardless of what we're doing? Well, there are a number of coalitions and organizations that can help them. The Farmer Veteran Coalition is a national nonprofit, helps assist veterans getting into agriculture after military service. They've got over 58,000 members across the country. Great program. And Rusty Branswold down in Esteline, South Dakota, he owns the 1898 Ranch and he is a part of that organization. He finds it not only therapeutic, but very helpful when it comes to working with another group of ranchers where they are marketing their beef direct to consumers and in other methods as well. And so if you are also a veteran and you are thinking about what I can be doing a little bit differently when it gets to agriculture and how to be involved, that Farmer Veteran Coalition could be a great opportunity for you as well. The coalition has a few different programs. They can help with grants for your farming operation. They have a support call center that you can call with other forms of assistance as well, or just to help answer questions about the ag operation you're trying to have start up. All of the programs and services are free to veterans. Again, this is the Veterans, oh wait, lost my note for a second there. Veteran Farmer Coalition. And under the coalition, farmers can be part of the Homegrown by Heroes label. And it's a label that they can be putting on their products that they raise and sell to the public. It's official farmer veteran branding, and it's a program that runs basically right here in the US. We have a number of folks locally who are participating in it. And there's over 3,700 certified producers across 50 states and territories. They're listed on a map. If you go to the Farmer Veteran Coalition website for consumers, you can see who is indeed certified. Now, having organizations like the Farmer Veteran Coalition gives veterans a chance to work with other like-minded individuals and really share their business wisdom. You come out of an organization such as the military with so much structure in your life, and now things have changed. Here is an opportunity to work with this coalition to have a little bit more of that structure. Some folks who can help you out with day to day. And then the Homegrown by Heroes label is really a big added benefit to you when you're part of that organization. As we look across a few of the headlines that are happening out there in the world today, well, let's take some highlights. Ukraine's ag shipments could fall by more than half this season as Russian attacks have disrupted the Black Sea ports. We know that we saw a little bit of a bump in the wheat market because of this. Could there be more coming? Well, right now, this is threatening Ukraine's biggest source of export revenue. The country may export about 30 million tons of ag products in this marketing year. That is down 54% from earlier exports of 65 million tons. And that's according to Ukraine's agricultural ministry. Wheat exports could plunge 53% to just over 8 million tons from a previous forecast. That export bottleneck is creating pressure as new harvest fills storage facilities and weighs down that domestic pricing. Ukraine has roughly 59 million tons of grain storage capacity, and that could be full by early November because of everything that's been happening with the bombing and changes that have been made. If in fact that is the case, that could be a deficit of 11 million tons by the end of the fall. Items that I have been picking up on this week. Let's talk a little bit about livestock feed. Forage nitrate levels can spike after we've had a rain. So right now, we know that dry weather has really increased the nitrate accumulation in forage plants. By that we mean that because the plant isn't actively growing, it took up a certain amount of nitrate that's being held within the plant, but the plant is not actively growing. It doesn't have a way to metabolize all of that. So at this point, we know that we have a fair amount of nitrate being held in the plant from its growth. Well, after a rain event, those nitrate levels may actually spike for 2 to 3 days after the rain. That's because after it rains, the plant wants to start growing again, and it can uptake more nitrate. It can move it throughout the plant. So honestly, if you've had these dry conditions, before you go back into doing any grazing, you want to allow 7 to 12 days of good growing conditions to let those nitrate accumulation numbers be reduced. Same advice goes when you're harvesting any hay. Plants need to be given the opportunity to recover and actively grow before doing that haying harvest. Even after that 7 to 10 day recovery period following the rain, just don't assume that the nitrate levels have dropped to a safe level. you are going to want to have that tested, and you can have those forages tested at labs. Livestock drinking water, we've talked about the blue-green algae before, but there's could be a nitrate toxicity as well. So a continual testing of water sources for livestock throughout this season is probably your best idea. With that forage, with that hay, if you are concerned about high nitrate levels, you could be blending different hays. You could be blending some hay that you knew was harvested before the nitrate levels were a concern. Try to blend that off, whether you're doing chopped hay or etc. But again, if you want to have anything tested, have a discussion with your North Dakota State University County Extension agent. They can give you some advice and assistance in figuring out what could be your best plan of attack when making sure things are taken care of best. Avocados. Well, they have been more than a little bit of a concern. And most of our avocados, well, we know the song, Avocados from Mexico. Well, that's changed. What? You guys don't sing that jingle when you hear it? Come on.
It
You all do.
sticks.
I know
It
it.
sticks in your head. You're right. You're right.
Every single time. Okay, so Mexico, the cartels have been interfering with avocados with the harvest and transport to the United States. We've had this happen before where we've had warnings around the Super Bowl that's going to be a little tough to get your guac on because you can't get the avocados. Well, the orchards are back and operating. Right now, the cartel is sort of leaving folks alone because they're paying the cartel to leave them alone. Can be upwards of $5,000 a day. So the U.S. is on high alert. They want to help keep the cartels down and out of the agricultural world, but it's not quite so easy. So Mexican avocado production is actually U.S. controlled. Our U.S. based inspectors are supposed to keep an eye on what's been happening as well as making sure the product is safe to cross the border. But inspectors have been assaulted, detained, and other physical problems have been happening because of this. And the U.S. Embassy will sometimes shut down avocado harvest because the inspectors are in fear of what's happening out in the agricultural areas. So they can't export without inspections and certification. 80% of Mexican avocados come here to the United States on a regular basis. So a lot of things happening in the world that we just don't think we can control. And maybe getting your avocado is not as easy as you had expected. What will be easy is our conversation with Grant Wiese. He's joining us here in our next segment after the news. We're going to hear more about what's happening over at Farm 640 and some new steps to financial management we can share with you. We'll be back. Hey, are you going to build something? I got a guy. We should all have a guy for everything. Well, Anderco Enterprises would be that guy. If you are looking for commercial, steel, industrial, agricultural, whatever it is you need to be putting up, Anderco Enterprises has been building for 20 years with a solid reputation. They walk you through start to finish so nothing gets lost in the whole operation until you get the key to to taking it over. They are experienced, reliable, and have great results that stand the test of time. Go look them up. AndercoEnterprises.com. You can reach them at 701-277-7078 because they are indeed built to last. Next week is your last opportunity to be registering to win the chance to go watch your favorite green and gold play in Las Vegas the weekend of October 10th. Thank you to United Valley Bank, where our roots make us stronger. They want to make sure that you could be the winner of round trip airfare from Fargo to Vegas, 3-night hotel stay, VIP tickets to an October 10th game, and so much more. After you qualify on air, you get the opportunity to join us September 14th at Kingpins because that's where we're going to find out who's really going to be going to Las Vegas. And in the spirit of great football history, my, oh my. For those of you who are longtime fans, you know where that comes from. And if you're a longtime fan of making sure your finances are solid in your farm operation, that's why Grant Wiese is here with Farm 640. Grant, give me just the background. You might have some folks who are new who have not heard of what you can do for them in their farm finances, so fill us in.
Hi, Bridgette. It's so good to be with you here today. I always enjoy listening to you, and I could have just kept listening to you talk here, but I know it's good to be here with you today. I grew up on a farm in northeast Nebraska and have been in the egg finance business for the last 15 years. And I've always enjoyed the numbers. I've always enjoyed farming. And frankly, my day job writing money to farmers is just not enough. So I started a blog a number of years ago to teach the lessons that I've learned about egg finance to producers, and that's where Farm 640 came from. It was just a blog to help producers and provide farmers with insights to agriculture lending so that they can put themselves in a better financial position.
It started as just a blog, but now it's so much else, right? I mean, and it's not just people calling you for advice. Can you run down some of the services that you are able to provide when you talk with your clients? And then we got to get to this new farmbalancesheet.com because that's a biggie.
Yeah, Bridgette, when you think about it, at some point, farmers need to try to make money, right? I know that they farm for a passion and they love it and it's a lifestyle, but at the end of the day, we have to pay the bills to stay in business. And if they're successful with that, a lot of times farmers like to do one of two things. They like to, at some point, buy farm ground to build on their legacy or grow the operation bigger. And someday it'd be great to retire off of what they've built up over the years as well. And let me ask you this question, Bridgette. If you decided that you wanted to go on a weight loss plan, would it be hard to go on that weight loss plan if you didn't have a scale?
Of course it would. Well, you could do it, but it's more accurate if you have a scale.
Right, because if you don't have a way to measure yourself at the start of the weight loss plan and then periodically throughout, or at the end of the plan, you have no idea if the weight loss was a success or maybe you feel better, but there's no way to truly measure. And that's the same if you were to go on a cross-country road trip. If you were driving from North Dakota to some small town in North Carolina and you didn't have a map, how hard would it be to get there? How many times would you take the wrong turn or end up in the wrong direction? And that's what a
One of us
balance
would
sheet
still be
tells you.
stuck in Missouri, Grant. One of us would still be stuck in Missouri.
And yes, it's very difficult to go on a weight loss plan without a scale. It's very difficult to make a cross-country trip accurately and quickly the fastest way possible without a map. And that is what a balance sheet tells you. It tells you when you are in a financial position to buy farm ground or to make investments in the future, and it tells you when you're able to retire or what you can retire off of. And it's kind of crazy to me. I'll have farmers come in to try to buy farm ground, and I'll ask them to meet me for an appointment. and I'll tell them to bring their most recent balance sheet, and they'll say, well, I haven't updated a balance sheet for several years, Bridgette, because my bankers never asked me for one. They've never asked me to update one. And I just think, who needs the balance sheet? Does your banker really need the balance sheet? Or do you need your balance sheet so that you can understand if you're making money or not year over year, or if you can buy the farm next door, if you can buy out the landlord? And that's why
You
I
know,
made farmbalancesheet.com.
and right along with that, okay, so who needs the balance sheet? That's a big question. And just like a map, am I going to get from here to North Carolina by using a map that was published this year? Or would it be more accurate if I was using a map that was published in, let's say, like 1937? So
Mm-hmm.
accuracy matters. And how often are you finding inaccuracy in working on these projects?
All the time, all the time. And it's not only just inaccuracy of maybe updating a balance sheet in Excel where you're putting information in the wrong place or the equations stop working for you, but a lot of times, even if a balance sheet is made, there's no feedback to the farmer or producer. They'll put the balance sheet together and they don't know if it's good or not because they don't have the resources or coaching to get that. And so I made sure that when I made farmbalancesheet.com, not only can producers go in and update their balance sheet and update their statements, but it will actually provide them some goal setting opportunities so they can position themselves. They can place a goal 5 years in the future for how much cash they want to have in their account or other different ways to do goal setting. Or, frankly, they can print off their report, and I have it built so that it gives them coaching off of their report. It tells them how much more cash they need or how much debt pay down they need to move forward, or it instructs them if they had a profitable year or not. So I put some of my own coaching into the website so that they can get a little bit of feedback on their own before they take financials into their banker.
What has been the response from folks who have started to do this? I know that you've launched it very recently. I want to say just the introduction that you sent me about it is only about a month old. So, what's been the response from folks who started to use this product?
Well, it's very fresh, and I'm just starting to get it in front of people as they update their balance sheets for land purchases. So 95% of grain producers would update their balance sheet in the winter months or post-harvest, and that is the correct time to update a balance sheet. But I'm starting to get this in front of individuals who, like I mentioned, they're trying to buy farm ground this fall. All of the listings and auctions are coming out right now, and they haven't updated a balance sheet for several years. So not only can you update the balance sheet, but you can run the purchase scenarios there on the website. You can put in how much the land is worth, how big of a down payment you're looking to make, and see how that impacts your cash position and your financial position. So I haven't gotten a lot of feedback yet because I've kind of been waiting for this moment here, Bridgette, to roll it out and expose it to the world, I guess.
Well, I'm very, very glad that we got a chance to help with that exposure, and we're not going to get arrested for anything indecent, as you say it. So good for us. So you you talked about land specifically, especially because you have probably more. I don't want to call it expertise, but maybe more experience in working with buying land. Could this be applied to cattle? As we see older producers who want to get out, maybe liquidate a herd, you have young folks that are looking to, they've only been a few years in. Could this be helpful for them in making that type of a decision too?
Yeah, absolutely it can. And it really just comes down to making sure that you have those balance sheet updated. The balance sheet will work for a row crop producer just as well as it will a livestock producer. And you have to be able to monitor your cash position and the risk to your financial statement as situations change. And for these cattle producers, the amount of capital that's been needed to keep going as we see this increase in prices has just been outstanding. And so individuals that maybe had a $1 million operating note to cover expenses just a few years ago, they might be running the same size of herd, but they need a $2 million line of credit today. So without a significant change even to the operation size, the amount of capital and the amount of risk is much higher. And that's why it's so important to be monitoring your position year after year. Even without growth within your operation, your position could be changing.
Well, Grant, this is weather and ag in focus, not weather and math. And I'm not good at math, surprisingly enough. So, what about those producers who say, geez, spreadsheets aren't my thing. I don't feel very comfortable with this. Is it the easy to use format? Does it come with a whole lot of Grant's hand holding to make sure that things are done carefully and accurately?
I'm working on that, Bridget. I'm only one person at this point in time, so I want to have a full tutorial built in. My hope was to have that in place for this winter, so that when you go to the website, you can either do the quick draw portion, which is basically building your balance sheet yourself, or you can run the tutorial. So it's not available yet. Hopefully, it's a coming feature, so that it will walk individuals through what goes into the cash position, what goes into accounts receivable, how do we show crop on our balance sheet that has already been paid for or maybe even planted when we're updating our balance sheet. So hopefully that's a coming soon.
As I look at the U.S. Drought Monitor, ourselves as well as Nebraska, where you are at, show a significant amount of dry, abnormally dry, extremely dry as well. And there's some other recoveries that have been going on from wildfires, etc. Do you think that if producers go ahead and start looking at yourfarmbalancesheet.com, they may surprise themselves at what they have for available equity, etc., that they could be looking at land acquisitions or expansion in grain storage for next year, that type of thing?
That absolutely could be the case. It's interesting. Individuals that would be heavy into forage right now, let's call it a hay business or maybe some other similar business like that, they've really seen a huge increase in the value of those commodities, especially in Nebraska with the drought that we've seen in Colorado, Wyoming, and wildfires in Nebraska. There is a really high demand for those types of products, and we've definitely been chewing through a lot of soybeans as well. So the demand is strong. It's put people in a position where I think they're going to make a little bit more money in 2026 than they were anticipating back in December. And it absolutely could bump them into a new tier to where they might be able to look at buying some ground when they really didn't think that that was going to be a possibility 8 months ago.
Grant, I think you've got a product that people have a great interest in. And for those who are listening or going to be following back to listen, how could they get in touch with you to learn more, and where should they look?
They should definitely go to farm640.com, and my email address is there on the page. I'd love it if you were able to subscribe to the blog. I send out a weekly email every Tuesday morning to around 5,000 farmers and ag professionals, and I would love to hear from you because, frankly, a lot of my favorite articles that I put together have come from questions from producers just like you. When I get questions or new information, it really challenges me to think outside of the box, and I can learn right along with you then.
Ah, that sounds fantastic. So, Grant, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Very much appreciated.
So happy to hear from you again. Thank you for the time.
You have a wonderful day. Let me know when there's new things.
Sounds good. Thank you, Bridget.
All right.
Thanks.
When we come back, we're going to have a recap of the weather. There are a few showers that are popping up on radar right now. I'll let you know where they're at and what we can expect across the area for the rest of the afternoon coming up after the break. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:53 in the afternoon, and temperatures outside right around the low 80s. And we're seeing a few showers and thunder showers starting to pop up on radar. Not a lot, but a little bit out in Stutsman County, approaching the Jamestown, just northwest of Jamestown, some light showers. We've got some thunderstorms developing right now between Walhalla and Cavalier, and an isolated thunder shower just north of Thief River, and some more concentrated showers and thunder showers exiting southern Canada, approaching areas around Warroad. Now, we're going to see these hit-and-miss storms throughout the evening hours, and then after sunset, these are driven by the heating of the day, so after sunset, these should start to die out. And again, don't look for much out of this. If you're out and about, about a 20% chance of an isolated thunder shower for the rest of the evening. And again, after sunset, these all die out. We'll bottom out in the mid-50s overnight tonight. Very pleasant night. And then the weekend looks great. A lot of sunshine. Winds on Saturday, northwest 5 to 15, highs around 80. And then we'll warm it up a little bit on Sunday into the mid-80s. And then mid to upper 80s on Monday, and a better chance for a little bit more widespread shower and thunder shower activity Monday night into Tuesday morning. And then we're in the 80s all next week with another chance of some more possible widespread rain this time next week, so a week from today into that following weekend. So at least there's a little bit of rain in the forecast, and temperatures remaining above normal. And this weather has been brought to you by the Hot Tub and Sauna Store. Discover the wellness you deserve at the Hot Tub and Sauna Store in West Fargo. Sink into a brand new Caldera spa. Nothing beats coming home from a long day at work and just soaking in that nice hot tub. It's built for pure comfort. It's super efficient energy use, and it's easy saltwater maintenance. If for other health issues, you can step into a Finleo sauna. You can train, detox, and truly relax right at home. The Hot Tub and Sauna Store. Stop by today next to Costco in West Fargo. So I guess the good news is, Bridgette, over the next couple of weeks, we do have more rain chances the next couple of weeks than we've had in a while. So at least we're going to get a little bit of rainfall across much of the area, and I do foresee a little more, opposed to this hit-and-miss stuff that we've had going on. I do foresee a little more widespread rain over the next couple of weeks, which is finally some decent news.
I think folks will be very pleased to see some of that. But even just nighttime cooling temperatures are kind of nice.
Right.
It's, again, I spent a lot of days in 100-degree heat. I wouldn't recommend it. But even nighttime cooling off is a good thing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to farm with an LLC or an S corporation, USDA just handed you a bigger payment limit and a September deadline in which to lock that in. Back in June, the Commodity Credit Corporation published its final rule writing on the One Big Beautiful Bill's payment limit changes, and that was effective the day it published. Starting with the 2026 program year, LLCs and S Corps are no longer stuck with the one limit for the whole entity. Now they get treated the way the general partnerships and joint ventures always have, which is one limit for each owner who is actively engaged in farming. So the rule calls these qualified pass-through entities, which is to say that any entity taxed is a partnership, S Corps and LLCs that haven't elected corporate treatment. The limit equals the program limit times the number of actively engaged owners. For a multi-owner family operation, that can multiply your cap. These are discussions that you should be having when it comes to talking to FSA, but also with your accountant, your tax folks, etc. So there is a catch. You must have your updated entity structure, if any, in place by September 15th. So we're less than 30 days to doing that. You need to file an updated farm operating plan. That is FSA Form CCC. That was 3 for Commodity Credit Corporation. 3CC's the 902E. That certifies your entity type and map your ownership so you know how many actively engaged owners you are indeed counting down to have. So, little hint about that if you're making some stops and having discussions at FSA, even if you're not, this would be worth your time to go on in and talk about it. There is a veterinarian in West Texas, or excuse me, not a veterinarian, this is actually a human doctor in West Texas, has set up a clinic in a shipping container. I mean, you can use them for anything, right? Rural clinics buildings are tougher to build. Dollars are much higher interest on loans, etc. And so there's rural clinics that are taking these empty shipping containers, renovating them, making them telehealth setups because sometimes patients can't get a good enough connection at home. The Davis Mountain Clinic is one. The head nurse puts people in front of doctors on a screen, and as of 2024, 143 Texas counties have no practicing pediatricians. So this is one way to get to rural communities for healthcare when you need it.
Interesting. Wow, that's great. Well, that'll do it for us for this edition of Weather and Ag in Focus on this finally Friday. Hope everybody goes out and has a great weekend. Enjoy the weather, but don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.